So first off, I thought it was going to be more of a back and forth war. I did favor Masvidal in the early rounds and Nate in the later rounds. As you all know, those of you who watched the fight, we didn't get to see those later rounds. I didn't think there would be a finish per se. Unlikely to have a finish because both guys are so durable, and I can't remember the last time either one of those two individuals was submitted or KO'd. Two very durable, two very durable fighters. However, I did think that Masvidal was going to bank in at least 3 of the 5 rounds. At least 3 of the 5 rounds. After watching round one, I was very impressed with his ability to knock Nate down. He had Nate knocked down within about a minute. For those of you who saw the fight, you saw him connect a beautiful right hand. And as Nate was kind of ducking, he threw that head kick that cut Nate open. That infamous cut. Nate has had that cut many times in his career. Just in his last fight with Pettis, he had the same cut on the same side. It was on the other side. It was on the right eye. And this time he ducks down, gets kicked. Massive cut opens up. Masvidal wins round one. No question about it. He did some ground and pound, some good work on the ground and pound. Even when Nate stood back up, it was the body kicks and the strikes from Jorge Masvidal. Nate did do some nice work with the hands. He did land a 3-punch combo at one point, but it didn't seem anything significant. It didn't seem like anything too significant. Jorge had quickly clinched him and kind of smiled and kind of played around, and he was kind of smiling because the crowd got all excited, and he seemed very calm, very poised. He didn't seem like he absorbed any damage. In the second round, it was more of the same. Nate this time worked more. I would say Nate was pressuring in round one and he couldn't get any hands going. But in round two, he did get his hands going a little bit more. He connected on Jorge Masvidal a little bit more. But Jorge was able to not only kick him to the body, again, a ferociously powerful kick. He also landed an overhand right. He dominated the striking. He landed the bigger shots. And then, of course, he landed a takedown on Nate. Nate tried to scramble and reverse him, but Jorge seemed to show the superior grappling as well. Superior striking, superior wrestling, and then even superior grappling on the ground. He out-scrambled Nate to get on top. And then we had round three. Round three was another very good controlled round for Masvidal, but it was a little bit less. And you could see that Masvidal was maybe slowing down a little bit. And we were wondering, hey, is round four going to be more interesting? Is it going to be a Nate Diaz round? Is Nate Diaz going to do what he does and turn it up in the later rounds? Well, according to Nate, he was just about to get started. He was just about to get started fighting. And I believe him in a way. I know he was pressuring Jorge. Like if you watch the fight in round one, he was pressuring. Round two, he was pressuring. Round three, Nate was trying to pressure. But he wasn't throwing a lot. He was just trying to get Jorge to work. I don't think it was a great strategy because I don't think Jorge was going to gas out. Honestly, he already banked in 3 rounds, so you'd have to finish Jorge in rounds 4 or 5. And I see that as very unlikely. Very unlikely. Anytime Nate finishes somebody, it's always with volume punches. It's never with a one-shot knockout, drop the guy, put him on a stretcher type punch, you know. It's volume and he worked the guy. Sometimes he'll daze you and he'll just keep his hands on you. I just didn't think he had it in him that night to do it to Jorge. So what happened, we all know after 3 rounds, the referee stops the fight because of the cut. And I want to talk about that as well. When I first heard that they stopped the fight, I didn't get a good look at the cut because the camera was zoomed out. So I was thinking, hey, maybe it's one of those cuts where, I don't know if, I'm hoping you guys never seen this, but I have, where when you're cut here, you can see the bone. It does happen. I've seen guys get cut and you could see the bone. And when you could see the bone, oftentimes the doctors will stop it. Why? I'm not sure. I don't know why the exposure of the bone is more dangerous. For me, it makes sense because to me, it's not something I really enjoy looking at. Maybe they think it's going to get infected. I don't know. But they stop it. Usually when doctors see the bone, they stop it. Now, I couldn't get a good look. When they stopped it, I also could understand that they stopped it in New York. I know they've had kind of a bad year in boxing. There's been a few deaths, and also Adonis Stevenson, who fell into a coma. I think they were more worried about the health of Nate Diaz. I personally think when it's a title fight, and it was a title fight, maybe it's not an official title fight, but because it was a title fight, personally, I don't think they should have stopped it. I think if this fight was in Vegas, they would not have stopped it, because Vegas will tend to let the fights go on further. However, in New York, and understanding that they've lost also a boxer that was from New York, and I think that's the current vibe in New York right now. They've had too many deaths in combat sports, and they're going to be a little bit more careful from here on in. I didn't think they should stop the fight. I didn't think that it was too one-sided, the fight. It was one-sided, but not so much that I would stop the fight, and definitely not on a cut. Now, I didn't examine that cut myself, but I saw it afterwards. And I didn't see it. It wasn't gushing blood. Yes, it was in a bad spot. It was over the eye. I keep pointing to my left eye, but it was on Nate's right eye. It was on a bad spot, but it wasn't gushing blood. The cut man really did a great job. The cut man did a phenomenal job, and he neutralized the bleeding. He put the Vaseline. He got it in there. If you get the Vaseline in there and you pack it in, you can stop the bleeding. And he did. I thought that it was not dangerous to his vision.